Guys, here's more useful information about every single champion part 1. Guys, only 22.5 of you who watched this vid last time were subscribed, and these take weeks to make, so if you could just take a second to poke that sub button to help me get a step closer to 200k subs, that would seriously mean everything to me. Thanks, guys. Aatrox's Q range is actually slightly longer on the outside of it, so if you aren't able to hit it using the very middle, try moving it to the side and you may be pleasantly surprised. When playing Ahri, try and land your Q at the furthest range possible. That way you almost guarantee to hit it twice, plus it does burst damage since it hits so fast. It also makes it harder for your opponent to dodge the Q coming back, which is essential since your Q does true damage on its way back, which a lot of people don't know. Did you know you can Zhonya's during your E on Akali and it'll still do damage? It's kind of like getting slammed by a statue, I guess. If Akshan uses his E on a wall that disappears like Trundle's pillar, for example, he will still continue spinning around. This works for pretty much any temporary wall like Talia, Anivia, Jarvan's ult, etc. As a League player, I think we've all seen the types of people that are on the internet, and I think the last thing we want is for someone like that to be able to access our personal information. Or even worse, you know, DDoS us in the middle of our promo series. That's why you need NordVPN. Even though you may think you're safe, you're probably not. Yeah, I'm specifically talking to you, Jeremy from Los Angeles, California. There's like a 1% chance that I just scared the crap out of a Jeremy from LA. Anyways, NordVPN is one of the best solutions to help protect yourself online. Nord masks your IP address, securing your data behind a wall of next generation encryption, and now even has a feature called threat protection that you can enable, and it will guard you from harmful websites, malware trackers, and ads. You don't even have to be connected to a VPN server for it to work either. Nord itself takes literally one click to start, and it is extremely fast as well. In addition to security, it also allows you to change your location so you can access your favorite shows, like maybe one that's only available in China right now. The best part is you can try NordVPN risk-free for a 30-day money-back guarantee. So make sure to use my link in the description, nordvpn.com/outsidejoke, to download it and also help support the channel as well. Thanks, NordVPN, and now back to the video. Alistar is one of those champions that you should always Q flash instead of flash Q. Flash Q takes much longer to go off, and Q flash gives them almost no time to react when it's done right. You can even add flash to your WQ combo to give them even less time to react there as well. If you ever find yourself being a little too greedy with Amumu's Q, you can always cancel your dash by flashing. Similarly, if you find that this is a perfect engagement opportunity halfway through your Q, you can also alt flash to get there even faster. Did you know that it's actually possible to do damage with Anivia's wall? All you have to do is take electrocute and then you can proc the last hit with your W. If you're playing Annie and have 3 stacks in her passive, you can actually Q, and then while it's mid-air, you can hit your E and it'll get the stun off. This can be great since your opponent will most likely expect the damage to come through, not the stun. When you use Aphelios' Gravitum weapon, you can actually press Q when the attack is mid-air, so it instantly stuns the enemy when it's hit. Pretty helpful if you're trying to lock someone down as fast as possible. Usually when a minion or champion blocks Ashe's W, most of the bolts are stopped. However, if the W kills the minion or champion, then only one bolt is blocked and the rest go through. So when using Ashe's W, try and time it on minions that are about to die, especially in lane. This can be super helpful because a lot of the people will try and hide behind the minions while playing against an Ashe. Have you ever noticed that the lower half of Aurelion Sol's body is semi-transparent? Well, that's because that part of his body isn't actually a part of the game and isn't a part of his hitbox. So if you're ever trying to dodge something as Aurelion Sol, just know that you don't have to worry about that part. Right now, Azir is so messed up that his highest win rate lane is the top lane at 47.1%. His mid lane win rate is only 46.2%. Did you know that Bard can actually get a kill with his ultimate? As long as he hits the turret, it'll give him the kill. The next time you play Blitzcrank, consider taking minion dematerializer if you want to have some fun. People often hide behind minions in lane to avoid a hook, but it's a lot easier to hit people if the minion just disappears. Most people won't expect it, and the animation itself is actually pretty difficult to see. You can also do the same thing with your ultimate. Brand is typically known as a support or mid lane champ, but he actually has the highest win rate in ADC, and not by a little. ADC is the only role that he has a positive win rate in. So remember that for the next time you want to play Brand. Instead of just Wing and then ulting on Braum, try to weave in an E in between there. This is because if you only W ult, your ultimate won't go off until after the W dash is done. But if you add an E right after your W, then you can ult while dashing in and giving the enemy much less time to react. Most people know that you can Q flash and still have the Q go off where it was originally casted. But did you know that you can substitute your flash for a blast plant? It works the same way, but this time you just have to hit the blast plant first and then Q right after. Then it pretty much works the same way. Hey guys, shameless plug here. I just posted a new vid to my gaming channel where I played League of Legends colorblind, and I also started streaming again on Twitch, so feel free to come by and say hi sometime. Link below for both. Did you know that you can use flash to substantially increase the range of Camille's E? If a normal E isn't close enough, then try flashing right after at the very end of the E animation to get the max range possible. It can also help catch your opponents off guard. Cass's ultimate is one of those abilities that have a bit longer range on the edge of the ult than the middle of it, so just keep that in mind if you need some extra range. Cho'Gath has the highest win rate when a Volibear jungle is on the team with him. Everyone knows that every so often Corki gets the rocket on his R that does bonus damage, but what a lot of people don't know is that same missile also has a larger splash range. This means if people are grouped up, it's much easier to hit multiple targets at the same time. You should never flash and then Q on Darius because it gives him too much time to react. Instead, start your Q animation and then flash at the very last second. Additionally, sometimes you can even get a free flash out of it by just queuing normally because they're expecting the flash to come. Even though Diana is primarily a jungler now, she has a 1.4% higher win rate in the mid lane still. 70% of people who play Mundo build steel plate caps on him, but the highest win rate boot is actually Swifties by a whole extra %. Have you ever struggled catching Draven's axes or just wondered how the mechanic actually works? Well, the axes will fall right in front of the direction you were facing at the time it hits the enemy. So if you're trying to kite backwards, always make sure to turn around after every auto attack so the axes always fly away from your enemy. If you stand still, the axes will fall on top of you or to the sides of you. Additionally, if you're struggling to catch the axes because of the creep block, you can cast your W and then you can freely walk through the minions. When you hit level 6 on Ekko, don't immediately upgrade your ult if you don't have to. Wait until the minute you need to use it, and that way your opponent can't see where you've been. Did you know that Elise can in fact repel to jungle plants? Partially because they're coded as minions after all. One thing people need to do more often on Eve is waste your first Q when trying to charm someone. Let me explain. A lot of the time, people try and hide behind minions first in Eve so they can dodge her first Q. And I see a lot of people playing Eve still trying to hit that first Q somehow by trying to split the gap between the minions. Instead, just blow off the first Q and then you have a guaranteed Q as well as a guaranteed charm. If you don't think Ezreal's E is in range of hitting after a jump, you can always E flash to make sure you get close enough for the damage to go off. However, just be cautious that if you flash too late, the E damage won't carry over. When it comes to Fiddlesticks' ultimate, a lot of people don't get their full range in the top lane and bot lane. If you're in the top lane, you're able to cross a lot more of the terrain than you think by clicking here. Most people do this, which doesn't get you as far. Similarly, in the bot lane, you can almost ult under their turret from the brush here by clicking up. Most people just ult across like this, which doesn't get you near as far. One of the best tricks that you can pull off on Fiora is just using people's CC against them. Fiora can use her Q and W together to move forward while simultaneously negating all CC. Because of this, she's really good into champions like Caitlyn or Veigar because she can use their CC traps to her advantage, or just move through them completely. In other words, every trap or cage they lay down is an opportunity for you to CC them instead. QW is also just a good way in general to get an extra range in your dash if you're trying to chase someone down, especially because it applies a slow and it will proc vitals. Did you know on Fizz you can use your Q dash to hide your ultimate animation, making it a lot more difficult to dodge? You can use this on the person you're dashing towards or even a target behind them. Galio can use this E ability to get away from CC, even a blitz hook if it's used early enough. This can be a great tool for escapes and getting away in tight situations. When playing Gangplank, you can actually hit the barrel and still have time to drop another barrel next to it and have it detonate. The key is to place the barrel and then move outside of your Q range. Then right after you see the Q animation go off, you place the next barrel and it'll instantly explode. This is especially useful for laning because you can always hide your Q barrel in a bush and instantly drop a barrel on them once they get close enough. Now most people know that you can cancel Garen's E instantly by hitting ultimate, and if you didn't, well, you do now. But what people don't know is that you can instantly cancel his E, meaning that you can E so fast and then ult that you can barely see the E animation. However, the damage will still go off. This may feel insignificant since you're only getting about a split second of E damage, but with a crit build, that split second of E damage could still add up to be a good little chunk of damage. It's basically free damage. Did you know that you can cast Nar's ultimate while you're still mid-air in Nar's E? This is great for instantly tossing their team into a wall or just pushing them closer to your teammates in lane. When playing Gragas and trying to flash E combo them, use your E and then flash for a quick combo so they have less time to react. But use flash and then E if you're further away because the distance you can cover using E second is way further than it is by E flashing. Honestly, almost a third of the distance. Everyone knows if you E on Graves, you can get a free reload. But if you're near a wall when playing Graves, you can even use your E right into a wall for an instant auto reset. Look how much faster it is compared to a normal auto E. When Gwen's in her W, it shows a broken sword of enemies around her. This is even true if Gwen's in a bush. So if you ever see this on you and know Gwen, she's probably in the bush next to you. A lot of people don't realize that Hecarim's E actually has a range around it, which means you can E people and then flash and still get the knockback and damage off without actually following through. The main place this could be used is if someone was chasing you and you just wanted to get them off you without actually committing all the way in because you're low. When you're trying to push and destroy turrets as quickly as possible, try and time your ultimate Q with a cannon minion. That way your ultimate will last the longest since the cannon minions can tank the turret the longest. Alawi can actually hop over a decent amount of walls with her W. As long as they're close enough to the other side, you're good to go. Unlike a lot of champions and abilities, Aurelia's ultimate will actually go off where you land after you flash, which means you can completely redirect your ultimate from where you started, making for some surprising plays. You can also combo this with her stun, of course. If Ivern does it fast enough, there's just enough time to Q to another camp, blast cone over, take the camp, and then hit Q again to hop over and take the next one. The best part is he doesn't even need to use smite and he can save it for something else. Janna's Q range is a lot longer than most people think, especially at the start of the game. In other words, it can be a great tool to mess with the jungler while they're trying to take their first buff. You may even be able to steal it. You can reach the blue buff easily from the river, but you can also reach the red buff easily from the dragon pit. Try casting it around the 1 minute and 40 second mark, and that's when the buff is about to be dead. Of course, that's just a rough estimate. Everyone knows Jarvan can EQ to knock people up, but he can also EQ flash to knock up someone next to him as well. This is a great way to hit as many people as possible. One of the essential parts of playing Jax is getting your auto attack resets down. Make sure to always weave an auto attack in after Q, and then you can even follow it up with a W for even more damage. A lot of people know that Jace can hop over wall using his Q, but you can also knock enemies over the wall like a Gromp and then hop hop over for an easy shortcut. It can also make for some great escapes or fun plays. And something else that's fun is making that red rectangle turn gray by hitting that sub button. Woohoo! Did you know that Jhin can still use his W to kill minions even if they're behind champions as long as they're close enough? Sometimes people try and block them, but if they're close enough to the minion, you still may be able to get that CS. You can hide Jinx's ult animation by casting E first and then hitting R. Hopefully it gives them less time to react. If you're trying to be super fancy on Kai'Sa, you can use blast cones to make your W almost impossible to track, since for some reason it elevates it in the air. It's actually pretty easy to aim and pretty impossible to tell where it's going unless you're the one who casted it. Am I dumb for being probably the only person to realize you can cast your W as a skill shot in any direction? I seriously didn't realize this until just now. Plus the range is pretty huge. I'm not gonna lie, for the longest time I would just hit W and let it do its thing without aiming it. Oops. Karma surprisingly has the highest win rate with a flash heal instead of flash ignite, even a better win rate than flash exhaust. For some reason, a lot of people forget that Karthus's Q will only give vision on someone if they actually hit them. I can't recall how many times I've seen someone throw a Q in a bush and then walk in thinking it's safe, even though you can still easily dodge it when you're in the bush. If you're looking for a sure way to get vision, try using your W instead. Dark Seal and a refillable potion are by far the most popular starting items on Kassadin. However, the items with the highest win rate is surprisingly tier into pots. Did you know you can use Katarina's ultimate to tell if someone's in a bush or not? If you walk next to a bush with your enemy in it, your R button will light up and you can cast it. You can even still cast it without having any vision on them. At level 11, Kaele's E starts to do a decent amount of splash damage. So much so that you can actually damage targets behind the turret by just hitting the turret with an E. This can be a great way to kill someone if they're trying to hide behind the turret and they're low. They probably think they're safe, but then you can just smack the turret with an E and you're good to go. When it comes to flashing away, anywhere is really fair game for Kayn as long as his E is up. Instead of flashing over walls, you can just E flash into them, leaving an almost unlimited escape route for him. Don't forget on Kennen that you can cast your abilities while you're in your E. It makes it much easier to land Qs and can be a great way of kiting your opponent if they're chasing. Did you know you can Q someone mid-air on Kha'Zix? You don't actually have to wait until you land to cast it. Once they're in range of your Q, hit the ability and it'll go off mid-air. You don't even have to time it, you can just make sure this works every time by spamming Q while you're in the air. Kindred's ultimate cannot just prevent himself from dying, but also objectives as well. Keep this in mind next time you're in a smite fight over Baron, but maybe you don't have smite up quite yet. Or maybe if you're deploying Rift Herald, you can also keep him alive a bit longer. If the target is close enough to a wall, Kled's ultimate can actually go over it. And speaking of going over walls, Kled's second E can also go over them, just not his first E. Kog'Maw's ultimate is just one of those abilities that it's extremely helpful to have indicators on. Being able to see its range can be key in landing hits. If you're trying to jump the max distance possible on LeBlanc, the fastest order to do it is W flash R. The ward hopping animation can take a decent amount of time to reach your target, but if you combined it with flash afterwards, you can almost completely cancel the animation, getting there instantly. It's like having an extra long flash. Sometimes it's better on Leona to ult just right behind them, because when you E, a lot of the time whoever you're trying to hit will walk backwards to avoid the E, and if they do that, they'll just get hit by the R. It's better to hit one of them than miss both. You can actually hop over some of the edges of the walls with Lilia's W, and while this may not seem like much, it can actually come in really handy when you're trying to escape. Lissandra's E has some pretty insane range, and you can use it to go over some pretty weird spots, like here in the bot lane, all the way across the Dragon Pit, or even all the way across Baron Pit. Like I said, you can cover a lot of distance with this. The support Lucian has the highest win rate with is Soraka. Like Heimerdinger's W, Lulu can also cast her Q in a wider area the more you move your mouse in. You can even have it shoot in opposite directions, but there's really not too much of a use for it. Lux can use her W to hide her Q animation, which makes it a bit easier to land or snare. The starting items with the highest win rate on Malphite is Doran's Shield and Pot. The most popular item is Corrupting Potion. Instead of just flashing and ulting on Malzahar, try and get your E in right before you ult. This adds a ton of extra damage for almost no extra time in between. You can even exchange your E for Q if there's multiple targets. Did you know that Maokai's E actually scales with movement speed? So if you ever want some undodgeable fast saplings, just build full movement speed and you'll be good to go. This is more useful for people playing against Yi, but you always know where he's going to pop out after Alpha Strike is finished, and that's in front of whoever he queued. Like I said, this is really helpful for people playing against him because you can instantly CC him right after he gets out of his queue. And if you are Yi, I suppose it gives you an idea what to expect after you pop out. Misfortune's Q can bounce to targets even if they're invisible like Wukong. It can even bounce to targets that are hidden and out of vision. In other words, if you're playing specifically against Wukong and see him W, just Q him and you're likely to get that second Q crit. Before ulting someone on their side of the lane, try to get behind them instead of ulting from in front of them. If you ult from in front of them, they have plenty of room to walk under their turret and retreat. But if you get behind them and then ult, the realm cuts them off from their turret. Morgana's ultimate can actually tell you if people are in bushes or not. Even if you have no vision, her ult will still light up and turn on when an enemy is nearby. Most people see Nami's ultimate as just an ability that you can use to knock up your opponents. But a lot of people forget that you can use it to speed up your team a lot. So if your team's ever chasing someone down, maybe try using your ultimate on them. That's it for part 1, and I'll get part 2 out very soon. Also send any tips you got to outsidejoke@gmail.com for future videos. And please again, no league recorder because the quality sucks. Guys, thank you so much to my tier 3 patrons, Stephanie, Noctec, and James. You're all amazing, and thank you so much to my other patrons as well. Alright, bye.